Hey guys, this is Wasim. In the last session, we explored Gradio, that is the UI development framework. We explored different UI gadgets that could be helpful for a quick prototype development, and we can get the early feedback from the stakeholders. In this session, we are going to build more advanced application using Gradio, and then we are going to explore more how the chatbot could be created. We are going to create two chatbots using GPT and Claude. These are two different AI models there. Uh, there are a lot of commonalities between both of them and then some minor differences. Let me, before we come into those detail, one thing I want to highlight is how the conversation work between the user and the LLMs. This communication very similar to regular HTTP web communication. It's a stateless model. What is the meaning of that is when you send a request, you get a response. After that, when you send a second request, LLM have no idea about the previous context. It just forget what was the previous question and what was the previous answer there. So this is the responsibility of the consumer application. When you ask subsequent question, you need to send the previous history also, what was the previous n-1, n-2, all that kind of stuff, if you want to get some meaningful context there. If you are not providing the context and the previous history, LLM has no idea, and then the new answers will be based on, just like it may ask you to feed the relevant information again, or maybe it will give you generic information. So you might be thinking this is the best it got, but as a matter of fact, if you give the history, then it will give you accurate information there. So the things to remember is whenever you are trying to do the message exchange, always send the previous messages history, whatever you think is relevant. And if there is any possibility you want to skip part of that, that's perfectly all right. But the theme here is send the information as a part of the context slash history so that the LLM knows what kind of next question you asked. So based on that, it has the relevant information there. This role is pretty standard when you are sending the information. You are the user, and the input you are providing, that is a user input. And in this case, AI will be acting as an assistant, so the assistant role will be for the AI and the user role will be whatever the information you are sending. GPT specific, they use a different role for system, for the additional system level instruction. I am not going to cover this particular part in this video, but going forward we'll learn more about creating the custom prompt and those kind of stuff. But for now, our vanilla communication is based on the user and assistant level there. Once you follow this protocol, then this will be a coherent conversation, and then you can do the continuous conversation with the bot. Um, this is for some of the users who are not much familiar. I know ChatGPT is more famous, a website that is used to communicate with the GPT model. GPT and ChatGPT, they are two different things. Not necessarily you need to use ChatGPT. We are going to use GPT model directly without going through the website. That is the reason we need to provide the context there. When you are using the website has developed in such a way, when you ask the next question, it always send the previous history behind the scene to the model. So it's an abstraction for you. But as a developer, when we are doing the communication, we need to do those things ourselves. There is another very famous LLM that is called Claude, and the company name is Anthropics. Uh, this company, they are doing very good. As a matter of fact, it's relatively newer. In 2021, I think some of the former employees from from GPT, they left this organization, and then they started their own business. And the model name they started is Claude. Uh, if you see the quick comparison, ChatGPT is owned by OpenAI, and then there is a heavy investment done through by Microsoft, and Claude is owned by Anthropics. If you need to choose which one to use, uh, which one is suitable for which particular domain, I would say ChatGPT is more of a generic, and it's relatively cheaper as compared to Claude. It is more of bit expensive, and it is good into large context handling and those kind of detail. Those are the things Claude maintained very well. Just out of curiosity, I was just reading about some of the history for the people who created Claude and what happened, why they left OpenAI. So I just doing some quick um, internet searches. So there are two siblings. Uh, they were the vice president of OpenAI in 2021 till 2021, and they have some concerns about AI safety, ethics, and security. Based on all of those reasons, you see the first person here, Dario, he is a PhD in physics and he has a lot of concerns about safety. And his sister is Danielle Embody, right here. She is also the vice president. She was the vice president in OpenAI. Both of these guys, they left OpenAI and they started their own company. And there were five more technical folks. They joined them, and these seven guys, they started the company in 2021. By all means, this is one of the best model as of today. I have in some different project, I have done large context analysis through Claude, and it has been consistently performing well. Anyways, I thought just in case you are interested in a little bit of history, but let's go to the application and we can start our coding there. If you look into uh, in the Git, I have created a new directory. It's called Chat Arena. If you go inside that one, I created one file, GPT Claude comparison. Let's bring PyChart, PyCharm. If you see here, in the beginning, within the single file, I have created two chat parts, and I'm going to create a UI also in such a way that within one UI you will see both of them side by side, and then the communication and the methods. So in one quick comparison, you can relate what are the differences and how, as a developer level, what are the differences here. So in the Python, I'm using OpenAI packages, and then Gradio for the UI development, and then the request package imports, that is for sending the HTTP request there. At the top of the file, you see for the communication, we need two keys. For OpenAI, we need a API key, and at the same time, we need to create a API key with Claude as well to have a integration with the backend model there. I have created two methods. One method is chat with GPT, and there is another method, chat with Claude. Side by side, everything is same. There are minor differences. Actually, let me see if I can minimize that one. All right. Okay. So, yep, right here. So, since it is going to be a subsequent conversation will be going on, that is the reason I have put together two global variable out of this method. If you put inside the scope, then next time they won't recognize it, and you won't not be able to do it. Pretty standard, like regular coding stuff. That's the reason they are put outside of the method, so that in a global scope, whenever you call this method, this will be available there. We are creating a client. This is very specific to OpenAI. There are differences how we do the communication with OpenAI versus Claude. That is the reason this is needed only for OpenAI. Okay, let's see. For chat with the GPT, the input you will be providing, that is going to feed here, and then we are going to create an array to keep the history, what user asked, what assistant replied, what user asked, what assistant replied. So we'll keep on remembering that one. You can keep the level, the maximum history, how many max histories it should remember. I think I initially put 20, but more and more history, it really depends what you are doing. If you need to pass it, you can increase this value or tune up this value. But just remember, when you are passing the bigger payload to the model, it is going to cost more. So I purposely put this value lower there. This is the main communication part here. It's pretty straightforward. Through client, we are going to use the chat object and then create chat.completion.create. Few key pieces need to be provided here. They are the first one. When you are sending the request to OpenAI, you need to specify which model you are going to use there. Initially, I have been playing with GPT 3.5 Turbo, but when I looked into the cost comparison, it was charging way more than the mini model. This is the cheapest one. I looked into internet site and looked into the cost comparison tool also, and this was the cheapest model so far I have noticed. And then you need to provide the history, whatever we history creating here, the messages history you need to provide, and then the max token and the temperature, all this information you provide there. But look at this, is like literally one-liner communication. You provide this whole information and that's it. And then you get the response, and then through response, this is a object navigation. You go through this one and get the content. Once you get the content, then you go back and put into the history again. Like, I asked you this and this is what you told me, and then you go back here and based on this rule, just go and do append. It'll keep on appending that information. It's pretty standard stuff. And then through prepare for the display, what we're doing here is to show the conversation history in the UI. I'm just playing with this role. This is the message, and you see here, keep on appending plus equal, and then do a new line for every single message and go through all of that one. Was OpenAI, and then we'll go to the Claude. It's very similar to OpenAI. There are a few key differences in terms of security and in terms of integration. Claude is much better, and it's more like a stable, proper. They follow the proper software development models, even for regular communication. If you see here in OpenAI world, this is just one line. You just give the exception, and that's it. It start working. On the other hand, if you go to Claude, you need to create a post request. You need to have a request and then post method. This is like a regular proper, the way we do REST services, get, post, and all those kind of stuff. You need to make a proper post call and then provide the URL and then provide the header detail. You see here in the header, you need to give the key, the content type, which is application/JSON, and then provide the, in the data part, we are going to give the conversation context and what model, and all that information need to be passed here. So that's the main difference here. Once you get the response, and then you again do the object navigation and you get the message, and then one more time you go back into Claude history and put that message over there. And one more time, very similar to chat display, we will just go through navigate through the whole Claude history messages array, and then display the messages and put the new line at the end of every message, and then keep appending the information there. We are going to create two buttons just to clear the history for Claude and GPT, just to see in case we want to clear the history and go back again there. And then the lower portion, we are going to use Gradio to create a rich UI where you will be able to very easily able to do the comparison between both of these models here. All right, let's try to run it. Before we run, we need to put the keys there. We need to go to relevant websites for both of them, and then create the keys. So for example, if you see for OpenAPI, we need to go to platform.openai.com, and then for Claude, console.anthropics.com. And then, for example, if you go to OpenAI, then go to settings, and under settings, go to API key, and then under API key, you need to create a key there. The thing is, you cannot run these things with the free model. You need to go and add the money there. Once you add the credit, I think at least $50 credit need to be added, and then only you will make these calls there. Good thing about OpenAI is at least it give you few tokens, maybe like 1 or 2 requests you can see. You can make it in the form of free just to see the integration is working or not. But that's not good enough. I think within 2 requests that got expired, and then it went back and used my credit card to add the money there. I am displaying it just for demo purposes, but at the end of the demo, of course, I'm going to delete it. But from your perspective, the keys should be secret, and it should not be displayed or put it into the Git or those kind of stuff. So they are like very secret thing. For testing purpose, we are going to put here into the code, but into the real life, before when it is a production ready system and it go to AWS, we are going to put that into the secret manager, so it won't be hard coded in the code. For now, that is good enough. Just is testing going on. So this was OpenAI. For Anthropics, this is a little bit different. They do not give you any free credit. Even to run the basic world, you need to, like the way you create an account, first you need to go and put the credit card here, and then put at least a $5 balance, then only you will be able to move forward there. For now, I have added the balance only for OpenAI, but the concept is same. I have tested this already, but it's already expired, which is fine. Let me pause the video and try to bring the key here. Okay, I got the key. We'll go back to Open API key and remove this part with the key. All right, this is all ready. And then now we are going to run this application. Okay, application is up and running, and it has created a local web server, and it is running on 7860 port. You start this one, and it's ready. All right. So with the help of Gradio, our UI is ready. You see here on the left side, this is GPT Chat, and the right side is Claude Chat. And this is like side by side comparison. And if you see the first one, this is the input prompt. We are going to ask the questions, and then we will send request, and whatever the response coming, you will see, like for every single response, you will see the the context will be edited over here. Same goes for the Claude. Let's start with this. All right, so let's see, what is the capital of the United States? Okay, once you ask this question, and it's going to print it here also. Send, processing, and it got the answer. And look, so this is what through we added the user prompt assistant. What is the capital of the United States? This is the question we asked, and then the capital of the United States is Washington DC. This is what we got from OpenAI. Now, so if you see the code here, we are passing the history as the parameter. You right here. That is that we want to test this. If you do not pass the history, it won't. It will be lost because it does not know the previous conversation. That's the reason it's passing. I want to validate that one. Let's see if I ask a question without telling previous question, right? For example, here it says Washington DC. I don't want to mention Washington DC. I'll just say how far that is from Ashburn, Virginia, without telling the destination. Let's see if this remember or not. Since we are sending the history, when you send it, all right. So how far that is from Ashburn, Virginia, and the assistant said Ashburn, Virginia is approximately 30 to 35 miles northeast of Washington DC, depending on the specific user. That's great. So it got it. So it works, and it is remembering the history, and our chatbot is working perfectly fine. On the right side, I did not add any balance here, but if you try to ask the same question here, of course this will ask for the keys, and we need to add the balance, but the concept is same. Both of these things will work side by side there. Once you cross, we set the limit till 5. So anything more than 5, that will be removed. So in the array, we are just putting the max limit for 5, and then it is going to remove the message from the stack there. Okay, that's all about for today's video. I am going to share the link for the kit. You can download this. You can clone this one repository, download this one, try to create account with OpenAI as well as the Claude, put the keys over there, and then install the necessary packages for Python, run this application, and try to understand the code. It's pretty straightforward, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much.